things on our agenda that we need to cover for tonight. And all hearts are clear. Let us go to the, let's say a little prayer before we start. Our Lord, first of all, we just want to thank you for letting us see the end of 2019. We thank you for letting us bring in 2020. We ask you to bless all our citizens, city workers, and everyone else that are here tonight. Continue to bless them through this year, and no harm or danger may they come upon anyone. We ask you to come into our meeting that we may agree and disagree in love. Either way, Lord, we thank you for everything that you are doing for us. We thank you for your grace, your mercy, and your goodness. This is our prayer in our name. Amen. Amen. Okay. Again, thank you for coming. Other people are signing in to come in, and we'll go ahead and get started with the agenda. I'll hold off my remarks to later on in our agenda. So I get some updated information that we need to do. At this time, Adam, you want to come in and give the Raleigh report, the Sanderford.
Good evening, everyone. Hope we had a good holiday. Since the last time we met. Just quick updates for us. Henderson, we went through some of our holiday activities. Have holiday movie night with good attendance there with some of the people in the community. And then we'll have another movie night at the end of this month. Other than that, just regular business here at the center. Having like after school every day, and just kind of preparing as we kind of get more into that season. If you are interested in any of the adult programs that I talked about in the past, before we kind of go on and advertise any more, we're trying to figure out what the best fit is. Previously, we had done some with financial planning, some of those things as we get older, wills and trusts and that nature. If there's something else that if you kind of sparks your interest, you think, you know what, this is an educational thing that I'm interested in. Do y'all have something in that? Or but looking at our leisure ledgers, if you've seen something at 5 points that you think, you know, this is a class that I would love to be able to have down here, I just can't get to 5 points. Please reach out to me, let me know, so that I know what the best fit is that you want here before we kind of just pick one and hope for the best. So that's pretty much all I have right now. Any questions, anything you might have for me now? Otherwise, feel free to come up to the office and kind of speak any ideas or things you might have you'd like to see up here.
Adam, what time do your after-school program start in?
Our after-school programs are Monday through Friday. Kids get here at 3:30 and they're gone by 6:30.
Okay. And on that ledger, possibility at our next meeting that you can have some of those ledgers here.
Yep, I can have some. We actually have them on our stand right outside. Yes, but I'll put some on the table just kind of make it easier for y'all to get to.
Appreciate it very much. And Adam came in last year, has been doing an outstanding job here with us and keeping us posted on activities and brought additional activities here for our youth and for the adults here. We appreciate everything you are doing. Let's give him a hand for the outstanding work. All right. We'll have our officer come up and give her report. I thought I saw over there.
Does anybody need? Did anybody get the handout?
Yes.
Anybody need it? Anybody need it?
Oh, you didn't get one?
You're welcome. As you've been looking over it, did anybody have any questions? Anything that stands out they have questions about? One of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight that actually came from our department, as well as a couple of citizens in your area that have brought to my attention, is some issues about fraud and identity theft. That's a big one right now. If you go to a very helpful website, is www.ncdoj.gov. That's ncdoj.gov. There's some IRS scams going on. We're getting ready for tax time. Some mail theft. Some of the big blue post office boxes are getting broken into and things are getting stolen out of that. But the biggest thing I would say that you should be aware of is just keeping up with your checking account, your bank accounts, maybe checking with your credit bureaus periodically. There were a couple of ID theft situations in the last month in your CAC area, and both of those have been going on for like 6 years. So if you kind of stay on top of it, you might be able to cut that off before it gets to be too big of a situation. But like I said, just being aware of what's going on with your accounts and that sort of thing. Did anybody, now you kind of look it over, does anybody have any questions about this report?
On the robbery graph, you had the 11/11 to 12/8/2, and from 12/9 to 1/5/24, but no change. Is there some reason why that came up as no change?
Sometimes if it's such a minuscule number, like a small enough number, I'm not sure why they would have had a no change on
came
that.
Up double.
Right, so but yeah, so you can see what the difference is,
Right,
so
right.
I wouldn't worry about necessarily the percent change as much as like the actual number.
Just also there were some details we didn't have.
No,
Okay.
they're all there.
All right.
If you look under the robbery, the 4 are there. And 2 of them were domestic related where they knew the person. Again, most of your larcenies are shoplifting situations. In your larceny for motor vehicles, 2 of them were unlocked. Items were, and in all of them there were items in plain view. The motor vehicle theft, again, running and unlocked, running and unlocked, running and unlocked. 1 was towed, 1 wasn't locked, and had the key in it. So that's most of those type of situations in that category. How about any concerns that you guys have in your individual neighborhoods? Yes, ma'am.
Well, not in my neighborhood per se, but close to the shooting that occurred in Riverbrook. They never really said any more about it. Was it like a? Did they think it was something where they might have knew the person?
Yes.
Okay.
Still under investigation, so I can't say a whole lot about that, but yes.
Okay.
Gang.
Okay.
Yes. How's the parking in your neighborhood?
You're doing a good job.
I was gonna say, you guys are good over there as far as like I haven't had to tow a whole lot. I just tow a couple and word gets around and they start moving as soon as they get stickers, so.
Better for sure.
Yeah. Anybody have any concerns? Yes, sir.
Just something small. Late last night, I was leaving my parents' house who live on Sanderford Road, and a car passed me over the center line. So I think it happens more than not, where people are passing other cars crossing the double line. So it's something that probably wouldn't pay attention to with that road being so wide.
Yeah. Exactly.
What's
Anything
that
else?
website again?
It was www.ncdoj.gov.
Thank you.
All right, officer, we appreciate you very much, and don't forget she started late in the year, but she's dynamic. She's been out there every time somebody calls. She's right on the spot and take care of the job. She's been in my neighborhood, been in yours, and other people's neighborhood. So we appreciate y'all coming out and responding to our call. Keep up the good work.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. All right. Okay, I do not. Did Eric show up?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay, the code enforcement is not here. Okay, Pam is our community. I don't know if you want to go up and give an update.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Thank you.
For those that don't know me, I am Pam Adderley. I am your community relations analyst, and so I am the person with the city that will help link you to any services or resources that you need. My information is on your agenda, so if you have any questions or you need services in your community, please shoot me an email or give me a call. Okay. So first, there's some information from our division is the Citizens Leadership Academy. So for those of you who have taken part in that, it used to run twice a year, and so we are considering moving it to once a year. But for right now, we have our winter session beginning soon. So the Citizens Leadership Academy meets 9 times, nine consecutive weeks, okay? It starts at 6 o'clock, so it's from 6 to 8, and we serve dinner, and we take the opportunity to discuss projects that you'd like to see in your community. And if you are interested in running your own community meeting, or if you have a community group and you're thinking of taking on a leadership role, the Citizens Leadership Academy will help you gain the skills you need to feel more confident and be more productive in your community. So if you're interested in that, please give me a call. Also, Mr. Weeks wanted me to just give you guys an update on the money that you have used so far from your awareness funds. So you know that at July 1, you guys got $1,000. So far, you have spent $345.73. You got a new ground stake. Here it is here. Because remember, you guys, from your last fund, you bought 2 of the feather banners, but you only had 1 stake. So now you have 2 stakes, and that was $101.35. And then your just past winter social, that was $244.38. So you guys have $654.27 left. And as you recall, way back in October, you guys agreed on how to spend the funds as follows. So the additional ground stake, you guys looked to spend about $130, but I kind of waited until they had their sale, and so it was about $30 less. Then for your winter social, you said that you wanted to spend about $225, so you're a little bit over, but it kind of evened out because you saved on that. Then you guys agreed to have a spring social and spend about $300. So we're looking forward to that. And then you guys agreed on that, 18 for, 0 against, and 1 abstention. And then you asked to then revisit how to spend what will be left, which will be about $345. And so that's something that you guys can give some thought to. And then when we come back in the February meeting, you guys please bring your ideas then. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Yes,
restrictions on how we can spend the money?
Yes, ma'am. There are some. So the funds are to increase awareness of your CACs. So some things that the money can't be spent on is it can't be given away as a gift or a donation to a group. However, you can, let's say if you guys run out of funds, but you still have some planning, some things you like to do, and there's another CAC, one of your other friendly CACs, they have money left over that they're not going to use. You guys can borrow money from them, not that you'll ever have to pay it back, but you can use whatever funds they haven't used. So you can do that. The other thing is, it has to, any activity that increases awareness, like if it's an outdoor event, or if you guys are participating, if you need to pay, table rental, if you're going to attend a fair or something like that, it can be used for that. But the money has to be used in a way that will promote awareness of your group.
And we cannot use it on individuals.
Yes, and you cannot buy wine.
That was what I was saying, okay?
No, well, because the winter social, so we have had, folks inquire about, some wine, but you can buy all kinds of food and all kinds of snacks, but no wine.
You got that,
Okay. All right, any other questions for me?
Okay, just remember that she stated next month, start thinking about everything else, and if you don't mind, that sheet we had on what we can spend on, would you mind bring some copies of that, so we can pass out at the meeting so people would know?
Yes,
Okay.
I absolutely will. And also, please keep in mind that spring is coming, and therefore I'm going to have breaks in the weather. And so, if you're interested in having any activities in your communities, please remember that we have those any festival equipment, things like that. And we also just recently got 2 full outdoor movie systems, and so you can borrow the equipment. It has everything. It has the speakers, the screen, the DVD player, we have the, so we have the laptops, and I mean the players and the projectors. And so that is free for you to use in your community. So if you're interested in something like that, just give me a call.
All right. I think the bottom line is that don't forget, you go through your community chair.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
not, yeah, all individuals
so
can
please,
go through.
please speak with your chair. If your community wants to do something, please speak with your chair. You can certainly give me a ring, and I will walk you through the whole process.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, let me make a couple announcements, then I'll make some more for the end. First of all, just to bring you up to date, some people we've been asking November and December, and Kenneth from over at Biltmore Community Center would like to come, and Pam, if you'll put him on the schedule for February.
Yeah.
He wants to give an update on where they're at on the Biltmore Center. And from what he told me, probably March 8th, it will be open again. So he wanted to come and give an update on the Biltmore Center. Also, during the month of March, the city has hired a new parks superintendent from Dallas, Texas, and we invited him to come to our March meeting. Don't forget, he's still going around getting briefings, so he won't be up to date on all these questions that we might want to ask him, because he just got here and it just started this month. So, but we did invite him for you all to meet him during our March meeting. So you maybe available for that. And I think that's about all. And I saw the city councilman come in, and I'm gonna give him a couple minutes if you wanted to say anything to us.
Just be brief. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Good to be back and see you all. This year, City Council, we've had 2 meetings with this new council, December, and we met last week. There's a next meeting will be the 21st. One of the things that we've changed recently is the citizens participation process. Now you can sign up to 1 hour before the meeting starts to speak before council. So in doing that, that also means a lot of times we will hear the information, take the information, but there's less likely to be any response because we won't have a pre-list like we would have previously. In the past, where you have 2 weeks to sign up, a lot of times residents could have their questions answered and resolved. And you would see, if you ever watched the council meeting or come before us, you would see someone say they withdrew or they're not speaking because sometimes whatever the question or concern was, it was addressed. So that's one of the changes we've made. Also, we have in the process of looking at affordable housing bond. So we will be pushing for affordable housing bond in November. We do not know the number. There will be workshops and things and more information to come. And we will also be looking at a parks bond coming forth. So the parks bond will also be on the November ballot. So again, there will be more information and opportunities to provide feedback. And I say all that to also say the county, Wake County, will be sending you letters in the mail. How many of you are beautiful property owners and homeowners? Well, your property tax letters will be coming. The revow was done.
Thank you so much.
So the county will be sending you that information. The thing is, when that letter comes, it'll have some numbers and information in it, but not until we do, because the county and the city, we both will do our recommendations on will we go up percentage-wise on property tax or will we go rate neutral. Rate neutral means whatever the current rate is right now, we will adjust the rate so it's the same. So those are the options. So there will be more information coming forth, but Wake County commissioners will be sending you that information. And if you need to appeal your letter, you go to Wake County commissioners. Any other questions for me?
I have one. Had some concerns from the communities I got called. As you know, in Southeast Raleigh on the pickup of leaves, they just completed most of them this week.
Right.
And last year, you remember you had a discussion at City Council about You went and you found out about only 3 cities that was doing that, and you all were going to discuss if you were going to continue or not continue. And I told everybody, keep your eyes and ears open, because we don't know what's coming down from the pipe from the city. And people actually say, well, hold it. That is a service you give us, then are you going to go back on our taxes? You mentioned about taxes. So if you're telling us that you want, well, you want to...
So we lose money in picking up leaves. So let me go ahead and say that. There's no, your tax money doesn't really cover that cost. We lose money in that because we use the same people who pick up your trash. All they do is get a different truck and they come through and pick up your leaves. This new council has not had a conversation about the leaves pickups. So at this time, things are as they currently stand.
That's not good.
I understand.
So
the previous council, the conversations that we had was one, moving to, you have to bag it. That was one option that the previous council was discussing. The other option was we would try to look at, how do we increase the number of routes. In doing that, that means something what has to give as far as we may say one weekend as far as trash pickup, leave pickup. It's a balancing act because we're using the same staff. There was a question about hiring people to come in and pick up the leaves. That's additional cost. So there is multiple options. We're one of the few cities our size that even does a leaf pickup. Charlotte doesn't do a leaf pickup.
Well, that's a plus.
Durham doesn't do a leaf pickup. So those are some of the things that we have to weigh when we want to make sure we effectively use your tax dollars. Yes, sir.
But they sent out a notice in October that they were going to start picking the leaves up,
And they were
the loose leaves on the week of the 12th of November.
Right.
Okay. Now what they did, and I don't know what. Well, yes, I did. But instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, they went 1, 12 and then 2, 3. And 1, 12 is Briar Creek and 1 is Glenwood. So they did Glenwood and Briar Creek first, and then they went back and started doing 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
And I sent them a very dirty note about that. But I also called them, but the number that they have down here for waste services, when I called that number, they said that number was not in service. The one that we have on.
I don't control the number you have on that hand.
Yeah, I know you don't.
She can follow up on
Yeah,
the
but
number.
I just wanted to pass that, but
They'll follow up with
we ended up having leaves on our streets on Christmas Day.
All of them.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm talking. Our area, area number 9, and they did not publish a schedule on that.
Okay.
I went on the website, looked for a schedule. They didn't have a schedule. They just finished one, and they'll come back and tell you, we're going to do 2, 3 next, and then when they finish 2, 3, they said we're going to do 4, 5. But they could have done 2 per weekend and had the leaves up before Christmas.
Okay. I'll take that under consideration.
Just plug in on that. I think we were punished a little bit because I raised something saying last year that we were number 1 on the first pickup. Okay? So they said, all right, we'll get them this year.
Well, they don't.
We should have stopped that.
Well, one thing that they do, I know they do, is they try to rotate each year who's first. So it's not the same part of town every
but
year.
if they do 112 and come back and do 211, that's good.
Okay.
That's a pattern. But to do 112 and then come back and pick up 2, 3, that's really showing some partiality.
I'll look into it. This is the first I've heard of it.
Okay.
No one emailed me or called me about leaf pickup.
No, I called it.
No one called me.
Oh yeah, but I called it.
Yeah, y'all called
I called the city manager's office, and the lady that answered the phone.
So that means they took.
She stays in this area, and she said, "Yeah, my leaves are out in the streets too."
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, when you say we lose money, if it's a service that the city says it's going to provide, explain to me how we lose money.
Because we lose money because the cost in order to go out and get the trucks and everything, we're pulling it out of our normal flow, a bucket of money for trash pickup and leaf pickup and the equipment. So it's not cost effective. I'm probably losing money is probably not the proper term, but it's not a cost effective
Allocating
program.
money for the services that the city is going to provide.
Right, so when we allocate the money for that service and use it, we're pulling it from somewhere else that puts us behind.
Will you let us know when, your new city council might be bringing up that issue and inform us?
And since we're talking about trash, one other thing I want to mention, we're revisiting our recycling program because recycle costs continue to go up from the companies that pick up recycled material. So that's also another conversation, another debate. Years ago, a lot of recycled products would be collected, went on a ship, and went to another country. Those countries are not receiving those plastics anymore.
Just sending some of it back.
Yeah, so that's also another thing we're looking into as far as trash. So a lot of the amenities that we have enjoyed over the years are not cost effective.
All right, you have one more question here because we got to move on. Go ahead.
Oh, I just, were y'all doing a Christmas tree pickup this year?
As I have a
Yes.
note, I have a note on that. You put it out for your Friday.
They
you
did
put
them
it out
this
to
past
curb.
weekend.
Yeah.
They're
doing it to the end of January.
Yeah, they're doing it all month. So the days they normally pick up your trash is the days they'll pick up the trees.
Should we put it with the actual trash stuff or the recycling? Cause I put it out last.
Put it out right
week.
beside.
Put it beside it. Leave it by
Beside the
itself.
trash can?
Yeah.
I put it beside it last weekend. The trash people came, they took the trash and they left the tree.
It's a different truck. So let me,
Okay.
what area?
It was on, off of Pearl Road and Rock Quarry.
Pearl and Rock Quarry. Okay, I'll look into it.
Okay.
And no artificial trees. Okay, so no artificial trees.
Now,
Maybe I take those,
from
okay?
the earth.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate you taking your time out to come back. Okay, we are going to move on to where we still have Don Belk here, who's from the city planning, and he's going to talk to us about our Southeast Special Area Study. Glad to have him with us tonight. If you know, he also attend most of our rezoning cases too.
Thank you, Chairman Weeks. Just a brief presentation. Good evening, everyone. I wanted to just give you an update. We have completed phase 1 of the Southeast Special.
Over here. It's videotape.
Ah, gotcha. All right. If you recall, the area that's circled there, that's the one of the several special study areas that were identified on our city long-range plan. These are areas that were determined that needed further study and further input from citizens to determine a long-term strategy for how the area should grow and develop over time, what should be protected. This Southeast Special Study Area, as you can see, is kind of in a unique situation. By the way, just to kind of orient you to that, if you just continue to go out Rock Quarry, go past Battle Bridge, and on out into the rural area, this study area is bordered to the south by Rock Quarry, to the north by Pool Road, extends all the way out to the county line. So it's a pretty big area. You can also see that it's surrounded by very rapidly growing municipalities. So there is a lot of pressure on that area. There's a lot of demand from property owners to connect to sewer, to sell larger tracts of land for new homes, etc. So the time is right for us to be in the area, working with residents and landowners to try to come up with a long-term strategy for how do we want that area to look like in the years to come. The county designates this entire area into long-range and short-range urban service areas. Not everywhere. You do have the watershed areas that are determined that will never get a sewer service, but this southeast area is part of that. Is this is Raleigh's short-range urban service area, and it's also within the area long-range urban service areas for Wendell, Knightdale, and Garner. So there, again, a lot of interest in the area. Right now, it's kind of a rural enclave, but it is changing. There's still a lot of farming and forestry going on in this area. In fact, about a third of the area is still classified as farm and forest. There's a lot of important areas for conservation, including the Neuse River and the floodplain, the Neuse River Trail, the Walnut Hill Preserve that was established by the Triangle Land Conservancy. And as I mentioned, there's still a consistent demand for new residential development. There is, just saw in my mail today that the county is looking at approval of a new subdivision out on Grasshopper Road. And also, there are some infrastructure projects coming online that are going to influence this. First of all, you have a new sewer project that's coming online. The first part of that's getting underway this year. And eventually, this is going to open up new areas for development. You also have I-540, finally the Southeast Expressway, as they're calling it. That will complete that big loop all the way around Wake County. That's expected to get underway in about 6 years' time. And here are those projects that I mentioned. That this part of the sewer line is what will be getting underway this year, and in future years, the rest of this will be built out. You also have the I-540 running through here. There's going to be 3 interchanges for I-540 ultimately. There'll be an interchange at Rock Quarry, there'll be another one at Auburn-Knightdale, and then a third one at Pool Road. And then, of course, that'll connect up to US 64, just off the screen here. Thus far, last year, we reached out to all of those municipalities, talked with them about the area, what kind of pressures they were seeing in their urban service areas. Last summer was our phase 1 of community engagement. We held 4 community meetings. We held about 8 or 9 what we call pop-up events where we would go to, say, the Knightdale Library or Riverwood down in Johnston County and talk to people about the study and about the area. So we also had a survey that we had opened throughout the summer. And we got hundreds of comments and hundreds of responses to that survey. We probably talked to about 300 people in person through the course of our meetings. And here's what they told us were the top priorities for the area in their view, being residents, landowners, and people who were familiar with the area. First of all, protect the natural resources. People enjoy the Neuse River and the Neuse River Trail. They want to see farming and forest land preserved. Traffic. People really express a lot of concerns about traffic, particularly on Pool Road and Smithfield Road. And there's an interest to be able to get around through other modes of transportation, having more greenways, having bike lanes and more connected neighborhoods with sidewalks. And also, people like living in this area because you have a rural you can enjoy a rural lifestyle, but at the same time be close to a major urban center and jobs and amenities. But there was a desire by a lot of folks to be able to have some level of amenities and retail services in that general area so they wouldn't have to drive all the way into Raleigh. So, we're getting ready to embark on phase 2. We've taken all of the hundreds of comments that we've received from folks. We've met as a staff, we've brainstormed all of that. Basically, the questions are, here's what the people have told us that are their concerns for the area. So how can we as a city respond to that through future land use and transportation scenarios, potential policy options to help achieve the goals that that community has expressed? So that's what we're in right now. We're going to have a new survey. This is going to be released on February 12th. And the same day, that evening, we're going to have our first community meeting. That's going to be at the Primera Asamblea, 8308 Pool Road. Is going to be a bilingual presentation that evening. Then a couple weeks later, that's a Tuesday night, by the way. A couple weeks later on, February 12th is a Wednesday. February 25th is a Tuesday. We're going to have a morning meeting at the Philippian Community Church, 6904 Pool Road. So if you're, for that morning meeting, if you're on your way to work or school, stop by, get a sausage, biscuit, some coffee, and hear more about what we heard from the community in phase 1. By the way, if you live within this study area, there's about 1,200 parcels within this area. You'll be getting a postcard from us a couple of weeks ahead with these dates and with a link to the survey as well. And that survey will be, it'll have our presentation on there. It'll be very complete. So if you can't make it to a meeting, be sure to go online and get to the survey. So I just wanted to put those 2 dates out for you. We're getting ready to start our phase 2, and we'll of course be back. I'm sorry about that. I made this update to the Southeast CAC just last week. Forgot to change the slide. But we will come back out to the South CAC, give you an update after we're done with those meetings next month. Any questions on the Southeast Special Area Study?
Well, not necessarily the special area study, but is there property or any plans on putting in a retail in the Southeast area?
For this area that's presently that we showed is still predominantly rural. With the future interchanges, there's going to be a lot of demand, of course, for those areas to have some commercial development. There's already market interest from developers that are interested in doing shopping centers out there now, but we don't have the plan in place. We don't have the zoning. This area, by the way, this entire area, with the exception of a little piece of it, all of this is still in county jurisdiction. So one of the outcomes of this study will be, it is designated as our long-range urban service area, but it's not under our jurisdiction or under our planning jurisdiction. So that's one of the questions. How much of this area does Raleigh expect to be able to service in the years to come? So one recommendation may be that we would expand our ETJ into certain parts of that area. And that way we could put it under our planning guidance and it would be eligible for our utilities. There's going to be other parts of that are so far out and are so still quite rural and will be so difficult to serve with utilities that Raleigh may, really not have a long-term interest in it and recommended those areas be left rural. And that's, we are working with the county. The county has a parallel process going on called Planway. And in fact, they accompanied us last summer to, when we would go out to the community to talk a little bit about that. But those are some of the things they're looking at too. What areas that are still, parts of rural Wake County, what areas would expect it to be served and which municipality would serve them, and what areas should remain rural.
Yeah, because everybody wants to put up a more residential area, but they don't have any commercial or retail space.
Right, that's right.
People.
Yeah, and as those rooftops, it's all, you talk to a commercial real estate developer, particularly for retail, and they'll tell you it's all about the rooftop. So there is a demand, but we don't have the infrastructure in place, nor for some of these parts out there, we really don't have, they can't do that type of commercial development under county rules without water and sewer.
Right.
So you had your question. Go ahead.
Oh, I was kind of just speaking on retail. I know there was about the New Hope and the retail. Do you have any idea or how soon we can expect that retail to open while New Hope?
You are referring to the Old Town development? I'm not really sure. I think they're pretty much through they got their rezonings approved, if I'm not mistaken. So it'll probably still be a few months away before they actually start breaking ground. They got to go through, get their site plans approved, and get their permits and all. So it's still pretty good ways out.
They were out here during the month of November. They gave a briefing on that. They got phase 1, phase. You got the split road there. They got one project going up on one side, the house, and then they're supposed to be bringing in the retail. Am I correct? And that's what they're working on and what he was talking about just now. But they were going to come back out and give us update as they move forward.
Okay.
on some of their projects. We had a big discussion on that, and people in here had some questions for them. And one of the things had to do with for retail, housing, and other things. Let's see, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, the retail are not the same owners of the one for the housing part, am I correct?
There's a pretty expansive ownership
That's
group
right.
in the Belk group, I'm not quite sure.
You have a,
I could probably give you an update on Old Town.
okay, hold on, we're not gonna get into that right now.
No, it's
We're gonna come
quick.
back to
It's
that.
related to this. It's actually, I want to tie it to this survey study as well.
Okay, because we gotta get through it. Hold on,
Yeah.
let me get this other question
Okay.
back here. That quick you did.
The area that you were showing, that's encompassing, the Auburn community.
It is the Auburn Nightdale Road. Now, part of the Auburn community, I think, gets into more closer to Garner. So some of that is within our area, yes.
Okay, so it'll be the Garner, Hialeah, Mountain Riders in the Hialeah area.
Yeah, that's
It's right there on the line.
not quite in our study area, but right next to it, yeah.
Not close to your church.
We already have the.
I know it, yes, I know about that.
Across the street.
Okay, you said you wanted to do a follow-up?
I was just going to say the Old Town project, all of it has been rezoned. We have one more piece, which is a text change that's related to the housing. From my last conversation with Mr. Chuck Walker, they're working, it's multiple property owners, but they're all working together. They're already started some work as far as putting in stormwater. I've had a tour of the property, and it's almost like a lake they're putting back there to deal with all the stormwater and everything. But they're moving forward. I would honestly expect the first things you're actually going to see is something that I think is going to make you all happy, but it's going to make you frustrated in the process. That's with them widening Rock Quarry Road as well as doing New Hope. They're going to have to work on widening Rock Quarry Road even before they can start doing a lot of construction to get their vehicles in there. So that's going to probably be one of the first major pieces you're going to see, along with some of the apartments going up. This is the closest commercial to the study area. They're looking at 7 restaurants, a grocery store anchor, and some other retails, and all as well as office space on the other side of the road. And as far as the study area, I've actually made a request to planning to actually look into bringing this, at least, I said all of it, well, probably only half of it, into our ETJ. And the reason why I made that request is because in order for them to meet our planning standards, they have to be in our ETJ. Otherwise, all you get is a county planning, and you're going to miss out on a lot of things that we require in the city when things are developed. And it's hard to go back and retrofit those items. That's why we have some issue with some of our roads now and them not being wide, because we require the widening of a road for new commercial development and properties.
Please explain to them ETJ, a whole lot of people don't.
Oh, extraterritorial jurisdiction.
Yes, okay.
Extraterritorial
Okay,
jurisdiction.
then, appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Okay.
Thank you
You
very
have
much.
anything else, Andy?
Any other questions? I'm Don Belk, by the way, City Planning, and be happy to answer any questions. Pam can certainly get a hold of me. I'm not sure if my name and phone number and email are in the newsletter, but
I have some cards up here for them. Anybody
Very
wanna
good.
Get in touch
Well,
with
the
us.
planning department's, main phone number is there.
Right.
Very good.
Here.
Very
We
good.
also have some cards that we left the last time.
thank you all very much.
Thank you for coming out. Appreciate it very much. Okay, let's make 2 additional before we get into our community presentations for tonight. I think, Pam, you said you had an update you want to give?
Yes. Okay, wanted to clarify, something. If you, when I spoke about the burn of equipment, if you need to check in with your CAC chair if you are putting on an event that representing the CAC. But if you are a registered neighborhood, if you're part of the Raleigh Neighborhood Registry, you have representatives already. So if you're in that community, you can contact me directly, and I will check to make certain that you guys are on there. And I also always, if you're not part of that leadership team, I let them know you don't need permission from them. Your neighborhood is registered. Okay, so if you want to represent the CAC, then you need to speak to your chair. Okay?
Okay, thanks for that clarification. All right. Also, I need to bring up one more thing. I was looking back in my notes. We had Live Nation, an amphitheater to come in during September and August. I'm sorry, September and July, because we were worried about the traffic pattern. They came out and gave us a discussion, but I noticed in our note, they told us, let them finish up their concerts for 2019.
Right.
We know that was over with at the last of October. So now it's January, and I got Pam going out to ask them now to come back and give us an update on the traffic pattern, starting, really, we also involved down by the Y in the school, all the way up, because that's where the traffic, all the way past that. So we have them coming back in, and she's going out with the information to them tomorrow to request them to appear at our March meeting. Am I correct?
I sent the request today.
Okay, all right, we already sent out the request because we told them we want them to come back before the concert start, the end of April and the first part of May. Let us know what they are doing, okay? I just want to let you know. And another thing, not trying to, I'm not getting into politics or anything, but I just wanted to educate and just let people know that early voting starts on February the 13th. Make sure you have everything. You do not have to have an ID for the March primary. You do not have to have an ID for that, but make sure you're registered up and pass that on to your neighbors and friends and everything. And we do have, you'll hear about things that's coming up. We're starting the forums. Your two African American groups also getting together for their forums. I think there's one on the 23rd. RWC is having theirs at Martin Street, and they're having another one on the 25th of January, 23rd and the 25th. The voter coalition, we're not finalized, but I think the first one will be on the January the 21st at Mount Peace. Mount Peace, right, yes. And we're finalizing the second one, possible for the 27th at St. Paul. But you'll get more information. It'll be on the website and things will be done for that. Okay, going right along, we'll go ahead. We have Jackie here from, she's going to speak on Belk Drive, and she's put some information on the way out. You want to look at the project. Someone came in early last year and talked to us about it, did not have the information that she has here. Did you want them all up here, or just that one?
No, I'll just do this one. So thank you very much for having me. My name is Jackie Turner. I'll put some of this down. And I have a firm, J. Turner Consulting, but I'm part of the project team for the Bailey Drive Greenspace. And so I'm happy to be able to talk with you a little bit about this project tonight and actually have you participate. So Mr. Bell, who was just here with the planning department, talked about how you can have community workshops, but then also you can go out and do these pop-up events or basically take the show on the road and bring it to you. And not only for you all here tonight, but if you have a neighborhood group, we've been very active in the Rochester Heights and Biltmore Hills neighborhoods because those are the ones that are most impacted or can have the most benefits from the project. But if you're curious about it, or if you have a club, or we've gone to Fuller Elementary School, we've gone to St. Ambrose Episcopal Church, and Walnut Creek Wetland Center is where we have meetings. So just trying to get around. So, as Mr. Weeks just talked about, someone was in last year because there was a master plan prepared for the Wetland Center park in 17 and 18, and it was approved at sort of the end of 18, very beginning of 19. And so this is one of the projects that was identified in that master plan. So the goal is everyone always, once you see a lot of plans that you want to have, actually want to get something done. So that's what we're trying to do. So just to orient you a little bit in terms of where we are, Up here, this is Peterson Street, and then coming down here, State Street, and then this is the Walnut Creek Wetlands Center right here. You can see there's a lot of blue on the map. As you know, this is a low-lying area, and historically has been a low-lying part of the city, so it shows the floodplain and the floodway. If you are, this is the Rochester Heights neighborhood, the Biltmore Hills neighborhood, and then this is the freeway going in through here. Garner Road is right there. So I don't know whether or not you've ever taken, but there's a trail that goes through here. You've probably seen where it crosses the highways. It tells you to be, or it crosses the streets, tells you to be careful, watch out for cyclists and pedestrians. There is 10 acres right here off of Bailey Drive. This is Bailey Drive going through here. This is St. Ambrose Episcopal Church. Bailey Drive goes out here to Garner. There were some homes here at one point, but then they were bought out with a FEMA buyout because of repeated historical flooding. And so with this 10-acre site, it's, this becomes a gateway or entrance to this whole area for this neighborhood, for kids at the school. The school has a Science Olympiad. It's one of the magnet schools. And so what we're doing with the design team is coming up with what that can look like. So it obviously can't be facilities, buildings like such as this. No community centers, no restrooms, because it's in a floodplain, in a floodway. You'd have to build it up too high. But it can be pretty awesome and have, and this is through some of the exercises that we did before, but it can have sort of like a lot of natural features, boardwalk trails, educational exhibits, and then also cultural exhibits. So one of the things that we wanted to do was to really make it about the neighborhood. And so when you get a chance, and so as part of this, I want to get some feedback from you and your thoughts, and tell me, and I have a little handout here. But I would like for you to take a look. There's a neighborhood connections back here. So we have a blurb about Mayor Clarence Leitner, who, if you've seen the cemetery that is there, and Leitner Funeral Home. And so there's a little blurb about, he was a Raleigh mayor at one time. And then over here for the Bailey Drive in Rochester Heights, when we started doing some research on it and looking at a landmark application, we noticed that almost all of the street names were named after prominent African-American entertainers, sports figures, celebrities from the 50s and from the 40s and the 50s and maybe even the 60s. And it was great because those were the people I remember my parents talking about, or the music that we listened to. And so we thought that it would be really good. There are a lot of people, and some of you in here, who are probably under 40 who maybe have never heard of some of these celebrities, but it's fascinating, and it's been one of the boards that has been very popular. So that's one sort of inspiration that we can use for cultural interpretation. But we also want to hear maybe some of your stories. Through this process, we've gone and we've asked folks, and I have this little handout, how long have you lived in the neighborhood? So we get some folks that maybe have lived in the neighborhood 2 or 3 years, but we actually have had people who've lived there 45 years, 60 years, because the neighborhoods were developed in 1956, 7, and 8. So that would put them at like the age that I am. So so it is really neat then to hear people talk about, well, I had a couple of guys on one of the streets who said, oh yes, we used to play here all the time. It was the swamp. So it's always been low lying. So one of the things that we'll be introducing as part of this, besides the boardwalk, is like green infrastructure. You probably heard the term, but it's basically looking at ways that you can somewhat control or manage some of the stormwater runoff and some of the repeated flooding. And it also helps filter water that goes into the ground, so that would be part of the projects as well. We meet, there's actually a task force that was formed, and I should tell you, and I'll pass these out, I'll let you go ahead and start passing these around. The project, you'll see that the City of Raleigh is a partner in this project, that the project is actually spearheaded by the Conservation Fund Parks with Purpose program. So they're out of Washington, D.C. They're a nonprofit organization. And then our other main partner is the Water Resources Institute at North Carolina State University. And so I'll pass these. Oh yes, two up here. And anyway, I would ask that I'll just go ahead, and if you want to take those and pass them around. And then also on our form here is how long have you lived in the neighborhood, in the area? Who are or were your local heroes, for those of you that may have been here a while? And then describe a place that was special to you as a child. Because the experience on these forms, I mean, there are types of recreation or play or leisure experiences that vary by people of different ages, of different races, of different cultures and ethnicities, and we're trying to embody that as much as possible. So I ask that you take a moment, and out in the lobby where you signed in is a sign-in sheet for this project, and you can also, pardon, do you have more? No.
See if
and I'm sorry, I may have, but anyway, and then you can have this one here. There's a sign-in sheet where you can get involved. There's a project website that is RaleighParksWithPurpose.com. It's at the bottom of this information sheet about the project. And as I mentioned, the designs are underway right now because we have been having input in November and December, and then at events such as this tonight, the first conceptual designs, there'll be two of them, will be revealed at a meeting of the Parks with Purpose Task Force at the Walnut Creek Wetlands Center on January 27th, which is 2 weeks from tonight. And there's a place on here where you can RSVP. Someone can have this copy. And dinner is served at 5:30, and then the activities start at 6, and it lasts for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, but it's a chance for the community to come together. So, thank you. And so, but out there, if you wouldn't mind signing up so I could just sort of have a record of who came, and then also my business card is out there. In case you did not get one of these forms, I would be glad to email it to you. And then the other thing that the gentleman over here is looking at, the historical street names, like I mentioned, has been really popular. And so there are several people who have asked me to email it to it. A school that we went to wanted to have it in the teacher's lounge. They wanted to use it for teaching for their students as well, and just in increasing the awareness of people that were very important to the culture for a lot of us, that just not wanting that to be lost. So I guess if you have, and I'll just pass these around so you can just see some of the ideas. These were part of visual preference exercises that we had at the larger workshops, and they were on boards this size, and then we gave everybody 8 dots, and you had to choose which images were most appeal to you. So I'll just start a couple here and a couple there, so you can get an idea of the images, and then that might also help you answer the questions that I sent. So does anybody have any questions of me?
Well, I think you did a good job, and you passed around the information, and please pass around the information. And just like I said, they also brought some forms in here. I think I saw some people passing out the forms. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. How long y'all been working on this?
Well, with the master plan being approved and the Conservation Fund funding the project, it took the start of last year. And so there was an event that was held in early September, I believe it was September 7th. It was actually out on the site in this area where the homes used to be on a Saturday morning. And then we started getting the word out, or having meetings in the neighborhood. We actually went to these 2 neighborhoods, went door to door and passed out 450 door hangers, and we talked to about 110 of the residents that were home to invite them to come to meetings and be aware of the project. So the more intense outreach has probably been since mid to late October. And it is ongoing, and I will say, if you are a member, if you're a teacher or a member of, we have a church group, or a scout group. We did this with Fuller Elementary School. We have a do-it-yourself kit where we would do this an exercise. Now it's going to be different now because the designs are being done, but anybody can take like 45 minutes and walk through it with like your adult Sunday school class or your sorority or something and work through it. But with the designs, if you go to the website, you can sign up to become involved, and after the 27th, so probably beginning of February, the concepts will be put online with a little survey that will allow you to look at those and choose which one appeals to you. So the goal is to refine the designs in early spring, do the construction drawings in late spring, get them approved by the city over the summer, and begin construction in the late part of 2020 and into 2021. If you live in the area and you see somebody out there in February and March, that is not this project, but there is an invasive species removal project that is going to be underway, taking out 3 large woody species that are crowding out the native plants that are there. So I just want you to know that this project is timed for the end of this year.
Just want to bring up one historical moment. Ruby Green over here, you mentioned about the cemetery.
Yes.
She's also working with cemetery in our area by Rochester High. She's the project manager over that. And we've been donating, and she's been doing a good job with that.
Yes, well, I've seen that change since we started going out to the area with the stone pillars being repaired. And I remember when I first went out there, it was in need of some landscaping and grass cutting, and it's been really nicely maintained lately. And that's what I want to know. Is anybody here, has anybody lived in that neighborhood, let's say more than 30 years or more than 20 years in that area? So you're all relatively
well, you can take up to Rockwell Road, from down there up to Rockwell Road.
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily have to be right
yes.
these two, but anyway, just any sort of stories that you have to tell and share. Later, we hope to be able to record those, but if you have a story or something to say, write it down on the comment sheet and I'll collect those, and then you can leave your email, and we later would like to just sort of record that history as well.
I have a question. I like some of the ideas that they have on the handouts there.
Yes.
But will there be some consideration made for the fact that it is in a floodplain area?
Yes.
Where they will maybe still be available to the public during times of rain?
Yes, and so a couple of things. The considerations for the floodplain area, like I mentioned earlier, means that there likely will not be structures. So even if you have picnic shelters, the sort of you can have the sort of flooring that it can be is limited. The doors or windows in the buildings, you can't have structures there. But it could be more usable, because now, instead of like the 2 gentlemen who had said when they were little boys it was a swampy area, if you have an elevated walkway or boardwalk, then it allows you access there shortly after a rain when the waters are still seeping in. And so, and that's why we're going with what we had called it Bailey Drive Gateway. You'll see that the city Parks and Rec has sort of talked about it being Bailey Drive Entrance. We think Gateway is a little bit catchier, but we'll see what it's called. So it may change over time, but that's what we're wanting to be able to increase access to people in these neighborhoods.
Okay. All right, you have a question?
I just wanted to make a comment. He had said that this is the first time we've heard of it. I attended one of those early meetings. I'm Carol Love, and I'm on your Park and Rec Advisory Board for the City of Raleigh. Went to that meeting, and we've had youth involved, and they've been talking about, seating made out of trees and tables, and making it a very natural area where the water wouldn't matter.
All right, and I'll be here through the rest of the meeting. I'll be in the back, and so if you want to take a little bit of time to write things out, you can just pass that along to me at the end of the meeting. So thank you very much.
And make sure when you, as you go out and look at the design sheet, the things that she have back there on the back, that's historical information back there. Okay, now we have, I think most of you knowing that 2020 is the year of the census. So we have an individual that's going to talk to us about the census and the jobs that's available and different things. And Pam got folders and things to pass out for you. And I'm going to turn it over to you and let you introduce yourself, do everything for us. And
Good evening.
good evening.
My name is Sharon Howell, and I work at the U.S. Census Bureau office. I work in the recruiting department. And it is very important that we all fill out that card that comes in the mail, because we missed out millions of dollars for our state for senior housing, for schools, for any type of restructures of our roads and everything. All that money that we missed out because people did not fill out those cards. Even affordable housing, it was missed out because it was over $675 million across the United States that was not money that could have been allotted. There was a lot of children that were not counted in the census as well. So one of the things that the governor of this state has made, he wants everyone counted. He's really making every county having a complete count committee, getting the word out about the importance of the census. They're working on that side, and I'm working on the other side, but it's more important that we all get counted because we want that money for our state.
Right.
And those cards will be coming out in the mail, and Census Day will be April 1st. So make sure, if you don't want to hear that knock at the door, or that ringing of the doorbell, you send that card back in, or you go online and apply. And then the people that I'm trying to give a job to will not come to your house. But on the other end of the recruiting end, we are hiring. We have thousands of jobs that are available for the county, for our ACO office. We are the Wake County ACO office. We have Person, Vance, and Granville, Franklin, Wake, and Johnston County. We are responsible for those. But before the other ACO offices opened, we were responsible for all of North Carolina. So I set up events for all of North Carolina, sharing about the jobs that we have. And all of the rate of pay with the jobs vary from each county because of the cost of living. We were because the cost of living is higher in Wake and Durham. Our rate of pay for the enumerator jobs is going to be $19 an hour, 58 cents a mile. For Durham, it's the same amount, but for Johnston County, it's $17.50 an hour and 58 cents a mile. And we're really trying to promote the jobs because we have more jobs. We have a lot of jobs and we haven't filled them yet. With Wake County, we need 2,462 or 82 more applicants to apply for jobs. And that is what we're here to get the word out. You can do it part-time. You can set your own schedule. Our time starts on Sundays through Saturday. As long as we're getting 20 hours a week, that's the least amount that you can work, but 40 is the max. We are trying to get the word out to the college students about the jobs that we have available. We have presence at Wake Tech Weekly and at the NC Works Weekly, getting the word out about the jobs. We have reached out to the Wake County to let the seniors know that are graduating high school that they can apply at the age of 17, but they have to be 18 to go to work. Although these jobs are temporary jobs, they are with the federal government. So with the college students that are, they're looking for that job but haven't found it yet, this is a great opportunity because it's still with the federal government. So when they go on to apply for other jobs, they'll get points for working for this Census Bureau.
And what about St. Albans?
We have the mobile unit. With our state, we are very fortunate to have the NC Works mobile unit. So whenever we go out to events, we can bring the mobile unit out that has 12 computers in there, and the applicants can come on and apply. So we have the mobile unit out that's coming out at St. Aug on the 29th of January. And we've had people that's going to donate pizzas and donuts and water and hot dogs for the students to let them know that, they can come out and apply for these jobs. We have a lot of retirees that are working with us. We've had more retirees and they're really enjoying it. And they just wanted something to do, at least 20 hours, and that's all we're asking. As I said, you can set up your own schedule.
And you said it starts on April 1st?
The training, we're hiring now.
Okay.
Because we have thousands to hire.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to get everybody trained and get everybody ready to go out by April 1st, there was no way we could wait.
Okay.
So we have to start now. Yes. Yes,
Do you have a date to go to Sharon?
we do not.
You don't have a contract?
We've been calling, and no one, I called the alumni department, I called the career development. Okay, all right, thank you, thank you.
And how long will that, how long?
We have a
will it
question
last?
right over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
For the jobs, do you allow people to go in groups of 2, or do you have to be by yourself?
The only thing, because these are, documents that cannot be shared, and because it's personal information. And a fine does come with that, a $250,000 fine and 5 years imprisonment. So you have to make sure that when you have those documents, you have them secured and they cannot be shared with others. One of the things that a lot of people think that going into certain neighborhoods could be dangerous or whatever, they're going to give you all the training, but if you go to someone's door and they say, "Get off my porch," you're not going inside their homes, first of all. But if they say, "Get off your porch," you say, "No problem." And you put in that address that you have, they say, "Get off your porch." They have other ways of getting the information. They'll go to their neighbors and find the information. Yes, ma'am.
One question is, as far as the jobs, is it just Census, or you have people working in office?
Well, our office opened last year, January 28th. And so I've been there since the office opened. We are hiring more people in the office, but I don't think there's gonna be a lot of office jobs left because we've got a full staff now. But most of the Census, the manager jobs and the supervisor jobs, we just hired them a couple of weeks ago. So we did the last of those last week. Yes, ma'am.
What time will the mobile unit be at St. Aug?
It's going to be out there from 10 to 2.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And we have reached out to DHIC as well. They are working with us to let us come over to their housing complexes and use the ones with the computer labs to let the people know that we have jobs. Yes, sir.
Do people get paid while they're going through training?
So now?
Are they getting paid while they're going through training?
Yes, they will. Their training is 10% less than the regular week of training. And if you live 50 miles away from your training site, they will put you in a hotel, and you will get paid on your way back. You cannot get paid before for your travels on the way back until you're sworn in. So anytime you back out your driveway, your time starts and your mileage starts.
You have a question right here.
I know she was saying it's like together, but let's say you're not necessarily together, but you're walking with somebody else going door to door.
If it's somebody else that's Census, that's fine. But,
okay, so can 2 people be in the same neighborhood
but
at the same time?
more than likely what happens is that when you put your availability, say if you live in the 27610 zip code, they try to put you in the 27610 area. And one of the reasons why they do that is because you're more familiar with your area, so you're not that much afraid to go in your area because you're more familiar with it. And but as far as like 2, I don't, unless it's like deemed really bad, they will probably send 2 then. But if you go in the neighborhood and you see tape around, or you see it looks like it's not safe, you just call your supervisor and say, "Hey, I don't feel comfortable going in that area." And that's the reason why one of the main things, they don't want you out too late, and they don't want you going out too early. But the main thing is being safe.
Am I to understand, are you asking if 2 people that are from the same area can work the same area at the same time?
But the thing
but
of it,
census people, 2 people working the census work the same area.
The thing about it is that your available hours. you all may not have the same schedule, and they may not have enough for you all to work the same area, you know, on the same day, the same times. So when you go in and do your available hours, you go in there and you put how many hours you're available for work that day. You can do it for the whole week. Say if you're going to do 8 hours on Monday, 8 hours on whatever, however you set your schedule up. They'll send you work according to how many hours that you have available. So if the other one that may be working, they may not be able to work for 4 hours. They may not be in the same area that you're in. They might be in the area that's going to be less work for them to do. So it's going to be according to your zip code, but it has been times that they have sent people to other places to work, but they ask you, will you go to other areas and work, other areas of the city to work? They just want send you there, you know. But we've had, when we didn't get people to apply the first time, we had a lot of jobs that people did not, that they missed out on. And so it was the address canvassers that were working, that we hired, they ended up working in other areas or going to other counties to help out. So they put those people that wanted to, they went into hotels and they gave them per diems per day when they were away. But it's totally up to you how you know. I can't say, because we're not with you. We can't really say, what are you doing out there? But it's been a lot of people that said that, okay, I'll have someone to come along with me. But the only thing is that we're responsible for you. If that other person is traveling with you and something happens, we're not going to be responsible for them, but we will be responsible for you. And you will get a device, and we'll know where you're at all times with that device, so we'll know where you're at.
Okay. Also, I think I brought it up. Another thing that's very important, not only is this for our communities, but we also can take this information back to our churches.
Mm-hmm. Please do.
Because I've already put notice, I had 10 people Sunday. I knew she was coming out, and I told them I'd be bringing them some information. Because we do have college students that are right here in St. Augustine that goes to our churches. Mm-hmm. And we got other retired people that's at our churches today. So it'd be good for you not only to keep it to yourself, but spread the name. She told you how many jobs are out there. Mm-hmm. We had already been talking last year, how are we going to find out about the information of getting some jobs to do the census taking, and that's why she's here tonight.
And
you have a question? Go ahead.
If there are some people that are interested, is there a number that we should have them call?
Yeah,
she just passed the folders.
In those packets, in that packet, it tells them how to apply. There's also a little cheat sheet in there to show them how to set up their password. Okay. So I think the one that has the email address.
We have some extra copies of these.
Yeah, and it has up there how to set your password and how to set everything up. It's really important that if you are retired, that you complete all your information and your retirement information, make sure you put your CSA information in. If you're a veteran, veterans get preference. So put in, you upload your DD-214s, then you'll get preference. Okay. So if we have one job, we'll give it to the veteran first, that if he or she wants it.
You hear that, Eugene?
Was it the same figure?
So we get first choice.
You guys will get first choice. Yes, ma'am. The time frame, the jobs will start, they're going to be out in the field April 1st through August or September, because the numbers have to be back in DC before, I want to say it's before December, they have to be at the president's desk. And the information that we gather is not shared with other people about, is really basically when we go out to the homes, we're asking how many people live in the home, your age, your race, do you own or rent your own home, and those type of questions we're asking because we want to make sure that we get the resources. If everybody's renting, that means that these people don't know the opportunities or the monies that are out there for buying a home. So we want to make sure we have all that money that's allocated back to our state that we missed out on.
Also, we want to, even with this information, we'd like to invite you to come back again next month to see where you're at and how many more jobs you're still looking for.
Okay.
So if you don't mind.
I certainly will.
That next meeting is on February the 10th, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Just giving us an update.
Okay.
Because there might be some more questions, some people have some information out there.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to
Okay.
make another comment, in regards to the pay. The benefits that you may receive from social services will not be impacted.
It will not be impacted with your SNAP.
And temporary assistance for needy families and Medicaid as well.
Okay, so we didn't, one of the things that said some states were different, and so, and that's really good to know, and that's something that when we go out, we let them know that their SNAP benefits will not be affected, and that's really good, because that was a lot of the issues that we had with people applying. But
And
we,
are you saying TANF also? Correct.
Mhm.
Yes, okay.
That's good.
That's really good, and every week we have someone over at NC Works, off of Swinburne at the Swinburne at the Department of Health and Human Services. We have people over there, every week helping the people complete their applications if they've been having problems getting in and doing the applications. We're over at the NC Works at Tillery Place every week. We do an event every day. We have 14 RAs presently that go out and they just help assist with people completing their applications and tell them about the jobs.
So they will basically be going to the homes that don't return their...
Yes.
Rochelle, did you have your hand up? I thought you had your hand up.
Okay, I'll give you my number before we leave,
Okay,
because we
yes.
want to make sure.
Okay, are there any more questions?
And please tell the ones that do apply, the one thing that is kind of drawback, and some people have missed out on the opportunity, is that when we do the interviews, we do them over the telephone. Because we're doing thousands of people, we cannot leave a message and we cannot call them back. We'll go down the list to the next person. The only people that we'll leave a message with is the veterans, because we have to give them 3 days. We have to give them 3 days to correspond. But everyone else is gonna be, once we call, we'll let it ring until it rings off the hook. But if they call us back and they give us when they call back, just let us know what county they live in and and their name, and then we'll look and see if we tried to contact them. And if it's a job available, we will give them an interview over the phone.
But you wouldn't leave a message on the answering machine?
No, not if it's not a veteran.
Okay.
And it has been instances where we did leave a message. Say if we had 5 jobs and we had 5 people on that requisition, then we'll leave messages for those 5 because there was 5 jobs on that rec.
Okay. Okay. We have a hand back here.
As far as the pay, if they're working in Wake County and they get pulled to Johnson County because of lack of additional help in the area, would that rate decrease and go to the Johnson County?
No, ma'am. They'll stay with Wake County. They'll stay with Wake County pay. They would still get the 58 cents a mile. So when each time you do your when you put in your time, you put in your mileage. So it's real important to keep up with the miles.
Okay, any other questions? Appreciate it, you did a good
You're
job on
welcome.
that.
Thank you.
We invited you back next
Okay.
time to give us an update on this. if
Thank
don't
you so
mind.
much.
And get in touch with Pam.
Okay, I certainly will.
Appreciate it
Okay,
very
thank
much.
you.
Okay, we do have, please make sure you get this information out in your communities. Because some people are looking at the jobs, people are being laid off, even though we did not get it. And this is a good way, let's find out if we can get our share of jobs in this census taking, so we can help somebody along the way. Are there any other comments, any questions for tonight? Our next meeting is on February the 10th, same time, and I already went over with some of the things that we'll be doing and some of the people that came in late. As I mentioned, we have the people from Live Nation coming in at our March meeting to give us an update on the traffic and everything from down at the school, the Y, all the way out past the thing. We asked them last year, they said give them time to finish up their concert time, and so it's over with. And now before they start, there's the last part of April and May. The letters already went out, as Pam said, to Live Nation, inviting them back for our March meeting. Somebody had a hand up, yes, sir.
I just wanted to make a quick announcement. The African American Culture Celebration will be taking place on January 25th from 10:30 till 4 o'clock at the North Carolina Museum of History. There are a lot of events that are planned for that day, so please come out and support the effort.
And that is a free event, am I correct? That is a free event because we get caught.
It's Saturday, January 25th.
And then the MLK celebration starts at 6 a.m. Monday out at the Sheraton Imperial out at you need to get there early if you want to get a seat. But they've been having over 2,000 people. Just a minute, Green. Yes.
The MLK wreath laying will be at that Friday. I think it's at 9.
It is at 9.
Mm-hmm.
Down at the MLK Garden.
Right.
Same as been before, yes. Okay. Okay, Green. The other Green, not this Green.
If you live on the west side of Sanderford Road, Idlewood Village, Kingwood Forest, Crosslink, Trace, Clown Place, Park, Sanderford, Gibson Pond, Lyndhurst Manor, and you vote at Macedonian New Life Church up there on the corner of Rock Quarry and Crosslink, the Democratic Party is having a precinct meeting at the church at the polling place on the third Saturday in February, Saturday, February 15th at 11 a.m. I'll be glad to leave you a reminder flyer about that. Please.
All right. Okay. And we had already mentioned something about voting before you got in here about the primary and everything. Yes.
I have one more thing.
Go ahead.
We are going to be.
Come on back up.
Sorry, I just thought about it. We will have presence at some of the MLK events. We and I think it's at the museum, the African History Day. We will have the mobile unit there on that day. So if people want to apply for the jobs, they can come out and apply.
That's good. That's a good outreach program that you got going. I appreciate it. Okay, do we have any other comments? We appreciate you coming out tonight. And at this time, we call our meeting adjourned. Please pick up some information and different things.